Story 1. Oh, what is the point? When I like them, they do not like me. When they like me, I do not like them. George Costanza. Story 2. I am never sure how to answer this question. Is it because I have not found anyone I want to be with? Is it because everyone I like is either taken or does not have their life together? Is it because everyone who likes me is someone I am respectfully not interested in? Story 3. I am 35 and have been single all my life. I believe I have come to the realization that I am never going to be in a relationship because I simply do not want to be in one. I do not think I have anything to offer in a relationship. I am far too selfish, not willing to put the effort into another person, and I do not want someone in my house. Story 4. Late 30s male here. I dated until the start of the year. I stopped dating and looking because, honestly, finding somebody who matches me is just too difficult and painful, so I would rather just live my life. Also, being single gives me more money. Dating is too expensive. Story 5. Hurt by the previous 2 relationships I have had makes you not want to try. I still enjoy meeting new people but am holding off on taking it to the next stage at the moment. Story 6. Because I cannot find any girl I like to date, and I do not want to date a girl with children. Also, I live in a remote area, so there are not many girls to choose from. Story 7. From what I have been told by other women, I am too nice, and they find that to be unmanly and a turnoff. I am not going to change because this is who I am. Maybe one day I will find a woman who truly appreciates my kindness and beautiful heart. Story 8. Because I did not have my life together when I was in my 20s. In my 30s, I did not think I was good enough. Now that I am approaching 40, I have accepted the single life. Story 9. The dating pool is a cesspool of people who have not done the inner work. It is just a group of codependent individuals jumping from one romantic and sexual connection to the next while pointing fingers at others instead of themselves. I would rather stay single for now until I see a shift. Story 10. Choice. I work 12 hours a day Monday through Friday. It would be unfair for me to enter a relationship because my time with my potential partner would be limited. Story 11. If someone shows interest, I immediately become suspicious. If their taste level is bad enough to like me. Story 12. I am in my late 30s and work from home. I have a hard time meeting potential partners. I tried the dating applications, but they were not for me. I am more into nature, but I have found it difficult to meet someone nice. Being single is peaceful, but I do miss having a companion at times. Story 13. How long do you have? To be honest, I have low to no self-esteem, am not in great shape physically or mentally, and carry trauma from having to play psychiatrist to parents who had a very acrimonious relationship since I was 10. I firmly believe it would not be fair to the other person to try to be a better partner while working through years of difficulties. Maybe when I have worked on myself, I can one day find someone to share my life with. Personally, I don't see this happening, but sometimes you have to stay somewhat positive. I truly hope others have a better experience in life. Story 14. Because at almost 8 years sober, I finally have some self-worth, and I know what I want, need, and give. I also will not settle anymore. I have always settled. I would rather be single and hopeful that what I deserve will come along than unhappy in a relationship knowing I am not getting what I really want. Story 15. I'm not a bad person. I'm respectful, can cook well, and am moderately intelligent. I don't smoke or have any substance issues. However, I'm not very good looking and I'm overweight. I'm not someone a woman would be interested in romantically. But that's life, not everyone will find a mate. Some men are considered alpha or attractive, so I guess some of us have to set the standard for what is unattractive. Life is simple. You are born, you grow up, you find a wife or husband, or you don't, then you die. Story 16. I'm tired, boss. Tired of being on the road, lonely as a sparrow in the rain. I'm tired of never having a buddy to be with, to tell me where we are going, coming from, or why. Mostly, I'm tired of people being unkind to each other. I'm tired of all the pain I feel and hear in the world every day. There's too much of it. It's like pieces of glass in my head all the time. Can you understand? Story 17. Mostly because I value my peace. A partner, while wonderful to have, is ultimately an intrusion on my peace. That said, it does get lonely sometimes. Story 18. I have severe trust issues. I am impatient, and the world is sometimes so overwhelming that I feel more comfortable when I am alone in my safe spaces. The problem is that I also crave physical affection and praise, and I enjoy having people to bounce ideas off. I am a mess, but at least I have popcorn chicken. Story 19. Because I have had enough of being emotionally abused, manipulated, and used by narcissistic individuals. I am better off on my own. Story 20. Because I am at a point where I can enjoy my money and peace to the fullest. I really do not need another person to drain me of both. I do not want to pay for holidays, jewelry, or car repairs, and I do not care if the kids want to go to Disney World. I want peace, my restaurants, my friends, and my car. Story 21. Low libido mostly. It is a bit circular since I do not pursue girls anymore because it is a turn-off in a relationship. I have met plenty of girls I vibed with, but they were largely disappointed when I did not take any action on the first date, and it was awkward to continue seeing them afterward. That, combined with my introversion, meant that all the girls I met were through friends at gatherings those friends organized. I do not have the ambition to make plans and organize people like that. I am not sure what it is. I am muscular, lean, with tons of energy and do not feel depressed or anything. Definitely not low testosterone. Story 22. Standards and expectations are too high, and I refuse to compromise them just for the sake of not wanting to be alone. Story 23. Low confidence and childhood trauma that I have not addressed make me feel like I cannot be loved or love. That, plus how easy it is to be single these days and find distractions through the gym, gaming, and the busyness of work. This is basically what is happening in Korea and Japan, as well as in North America. Dating is also a lot of work for what feels like no real reward. Story 24. Because I choose to be. I would rather be alone and happy than be with someone who does not improve my life in every aspect. Story 25. I am asexual, and no man wants to be with a girl they cannot have a physical relationship with. Additionally, asexual men are rare. Story 26. At the moment, I am not seeking a relationship. I divorced 2 years ago and am just enjoying my own company and that of my friends for now. Story 27. Because I am a date-to-marry kind of woman, and I do not want any man to feel like I am just dating for the sake of dating. I want to date because I want something real, and I am willing to wait and be friends before that happens to have a better connection with him. Story 28. The girl I wanted to marry killed herself when we were broken up, trying to figure things out. I lack the energy to try to find another person when everything reminds me of her. Story 29. A severe lack of patience for nonsense. I enjoy my peace, so the second it is threatened by a person I am dating, I leave. Story 30. It took 35 years to overcome my immaturity and become someone worthy of being loved. At this age, dating is a minefield. The single population at an appropriate age is low. It is hard to meet people organically, and many who are single carry significant baggage or are single for reasons that would not make them good partners. Additionally, many single people at my age have children. I want children, and they do not have to be my own biological children, but the responsibility of building a new, meaningful relationship while essentially becoming a father, a second, completely different, possibly even more meaningful relationship at the same time is a lot to ask. Story 31. Because I have multiple disabilities, I cannot drive. I cannot take care of myself beyond the basic needs. I am poor, and I do not need a partner. I need a caretaker. There is no sane woman who would be willing to do that. Story 32. I am too scared to trust people because of what has happened over the past 3 years. I never believe someone actually likes me, and if they do, I strongly think it is just a manipulation tactic or a joke. I am very introverted. Story 33. I divorced my former wife a few years ago. I obtained full custody of my daughter due to her issues. Because of those same issues, I have zero tolerance for any disruption of my peace. I have dated a few women since the divorce, but I end the relationship as soon as the inevitable drama begins. Dating does not add anything to my life worth sacrificing my peace for. Story 34. I'm not really interested in sex with other people anymore. Every time I think I might be open to dating again, I realize I just want to hang out with someone. So, I just have attractive friends and stay single. It's cheaper, easier, no one messes with my belongings, and I decide when I want or do not want company. Also, the longer I am single, the harder it is to justify giving it up. Story 35. I lost 110 kilograms. I am looking pretty good currently. However, I am insecure because of the loose skin all around my body, especially around the belly area. I do not want to show myself to a woman like that somehow. Story 36. I was an alleged 6-year rebound. I know I was a good boyfriend, but the grass is always greener. I know she will come back when my emotions have faded because somehow my exes have the worst timing. Story 37. Married my high school sweetheart. We started dating when I was 16. She cheated, abused me, and then sexually assaulted me off and on for a week before leaving. That was 2 years ago, and now I am voluntarily celibate. I want intimacy, but the thought of it makes me want to end my life. Dating is also a difficult experience. Apparently, it is my fault that I have baggage, and it is unfair to expect other people to want to be with me. It makes sense. Any value I may have had as a partner was taken away by her. I feel worthless, and no matter what kind words people offer, reality shows plainly that I have not been worthy of love. Not to my wife, not to my family, and not to any future partner. I have been on the verge of homelessness for a while. Once I lose my home, I plan to turn to crime. I have some troubling plans. Story 38. My last relationship devastated me. She slowly broke me down over time to the point where I would flinch if she even touched me because it became so rare. I was friendly with many people before her. She would get mad or accusatory if a woman at a bar talked to me while she wasn't there or was not her friend. This also led me to unmask more and not care much for small talk. I have been single for about 3 years, separated in 2023, and divorce finalized in 2024. I have focused on myself. She moved on 3 months after we separated. Such is life. Story 39. It is all too exhausting and full of things I do not actually like for something that is not really worth it while I take a loss. Story 40. Because I am not the perfect guy even though I know I am pretty great. I am handsome, well-dressed, funny, generous, giving, empathetic, and successful. However, because I do not have this intangible it factor or whatever energy makes women feel a spark, that is why I am still single. Story 41. Because at 60, I am tired of women who still play games. No time for nonsense or trying to figure you all out. Story 42. The last person I was with completely destroyed my self-esteem, and I am working on building it back up. He turned out to be a covert narcissist. Story 43. 1. I am ugly. No one is interested in me. If I am interested in someone, they are either not interested in me or already with someone. I do not want to be with someone just to avoid being single. Story 44. I'm picky. It has to feel right, and I'd rather be by myself than be with the wrong person. I actually enjoy my own company, and it is peaceful. Some people are so afraid of being alone. They want someone just to have someone, and anyone willing to be with them will do. Many of them are miserable. They would rather be unhappy in a relationship than be single, and I do not understand it. The amount of energy they pour into drama, conflicts, and constant complaining about their partner is wild. Story 45. How many girls have I asked out this year? 1. That is why when I ask girls out frequently and often, I get dates. But if I am not, I am single. Story 46. Because I am an introvert. Although a fortune in a fortune cookie said, I will find love in August, so hopefully I find someone. Story 47. Haven't put myself out there. I want to get my own apartment and car first to have that independence. Story 48. It's like the Groucho Marx quote. I would never want to be in a club that would have me as its member. Nothing is more unattractive than a woman with low enough standards to like me. I am working on loving myself enough to change that. Story 49. I am 42 years old and have never been on a date. My conclusion is that I am fundamentally unlovable. Apparently, trying to be a good person is not enough. Story 50. Because she is a 41-year-old woman who chose alcohol and partying over raising her daughter and being stable. Story 51. Trauma. My ex-partner broke into my house and assaulted me 3 weeks ago, and I am still looking over my shoulder constantly. I am a man. I had little intention of entering a relationship, and that confirmed it. Story 52. Because I did not try hard enough, now even if I meet someone, by the time I am ready to marry them, most of the people I want there will have moved away, started using drugs, or passed away. In this part of the United States, you either move to the city, get married in your 20s, or become a lone caregiver to your ailing parents and grandparents in your 30s and 40s. Story 53. Autistic level social skills and no positive features to draw interest. I really do not bring anything to the table except baggage. If someone has an interest in unpacking other people's baggage, feel free to contact me. Story 54. Every interaction I have had on a date was painfully awkward and humiliating over a long enough time that I started avoiding socializing. Now it has been so long I have no idea how to date. I am sure if I applied myself and really tried I could find someone, but at this point I enjoy solitude. I kind of want to get a dog though. Story 55. I am undesirable to all women, and even if a woman did desire me, she would leave eventually. I am not that naive anymore. Story 56. I have experienced a lot of trauma, which has made me feel like an outcast and left me with very few social skills. I suffer from extreme anxiety and depression, and I often believe that people are making fun of me wherever I go. I try to be normal, but I do not know what normal is, which probably makes me seem more weird and awkward. Story 57. Too many people do not have their lives together, have many children, unrealistic expectations, and a sense of entitlement. Demands are disguised as standards, with long lists of what someone is expected to do. It is just not worth it. Story 58. Socially awkward and anxious. I have zero self-worth because I feel I am not good enough for anyone. I also feel that people generally like me less the more they get to know me. Story 59. I struggle with relationships, and many women in my town face significant challenges. The dating scene is troubled due to widespread methamphetamine use. Story 60. Because of the Great Recession, I now know that Chris Rock was right when he said, "Men, when you lose your job, you are going to lose your woman." It may not happen immediately, but the clock is ticking. I do not blame women, though. I blame capitalism. Story 61. I am a 24-year-old female and have been single all my life. I am happy in all aspects, so I do not see any point in getting into a relationship. Relationships are difficult these days. When I say this, I am not blaming men. Both genders share responsibility in this fast-paced world. If you are happy, your relationship status does not matter, I feel. Story 62. I seem to attract difficult women. I don't know why, but I'm often told I am a bit eccentric. I am super fun to be friends with, and I enjoy going to outings with them. I am a patient person, so they usually end up liking me. However, relationships feel like a roller coaster ride, and I often have to say no. Sometimes, when I do that, the mean side of their personality comes out, which I do not like at all. Story 63. If I only knew that, I'd do something about it. I'm so done with it. Don't get me wrong. I don't blame women, but I have heard a couple of times in the last few years, I have a hard time getting a date in the first place, that I'm a very nice guy. They like how I look and see me as a good man overall. But there is always something that makes them say they don't want to talk further. Sometimes this happens after days, sometimes months. I invest time and effort, and it's just so hard to get something back. I guess I'll have to keep trying. I try to stay positive. But sometimes I feel lonely. It's not friends, I have those and they are great. But I don't want to come home to an empty house for the next 10 years again. I want to hold someone who wants to hold me. Story 64. Ending a long-term relationship because I am a man now. Living in a small town as the gay transgender man is tough. Story 65. Because I am not interested in a typical romantic relationship. I identify as aromantic and asexual. I would not mind having another aromantic/asexual friend at some point, but I am not in a hurry. Story 66. I do not know. I was dating someone for a little while recently, but she kind of broke my heart. Hopefully, I can find someone who likes me for who I am because, as much as I care for her, it seems she could not. Story 67. Relationships require significant effort. I am unable to consistently invest that effort, so I would rather be single than disappoint others. Story 68. As an immigrant, I am in an awkward place. I am too westernized for people back home and too foreign for North America. Story 69. 1. I do not feel the need to have a partner. I do not know how to meet more people. I know very pretty girls, in my opinion, but it is different from wanting to be with one of them. I am shy, but if I meet someone I connect with who understands me, that will be the moment. In terms of preferences, I do not discriminate. My tastes cover almost all possibilities, from small to large, skinny to fat. I prefer a large chest but have no problem if it is small. Story 70. Waiting until marriage. I only want to date to marry, not even for religious reasons, just because it is what I want and prefer. Story 71. I can't get over what a mess I used to be. Self-destructive. I was an alcoholic and a social outcast. I assume any woman would avoid me after hearing about that, even though I've been sober for over 5 years. Also, I have never had a serious girlfriend and I am in my late 30s. I feel like I am just red flags. Story 72. Because as a man dating in his 30s, most women in their 30s now only want to rush into marriage and having children after experiencing their casual dating phase in their 20s. Also, it is really hard to like women who are outright jaded by their experiences or pretend to be impossible to get. Story 73. Because if someone loves me that way, I will genuinely question why and what their motivation is. Regardless, as a non-binary person, I do not want them to be put in danger if some people take my identity too personally and decide to do something harmful. They should not have to experience that. I am also 23 years old and do not want children or to rush into relationships. I am against marriage and have said I never needed it to prove how much I loved someone, but some people disagree, I guess. In summary, I feel unlovable. Story 74. Because at this point, I just do not care. People tend to let each other down. So instead, I make art and do cool things. Oh yes, and spend a lot of time with my dog who loves me no matter what. Story 75. Self-isolation and an avoidant personality. Recently, I have been taking steps toward changing these negative traits. I hope to finally have what everyone else I know has had for a long time. Story 76. I have avoidant attachment. Many men courted me, but I privately rejected them. I do not want to be the red flag in the relationship, nor do I want to hurt them. I am still working on myself. Story 77. I think I might be in love with someone who does not want me. Edit. I do not want to date anyone else because of that. Story 78. All right, let's play the numbers. Firstly, I'm 35 years old, and while I won't say I wouldn't date a woman that was of legal age, I'm not interested in high schoolers. I don't really consider you a viable option unless you're at least 21, and honestly, I'm aiming for within 10 years of my age, so I'm looking for a woman 25 or older. That doesn't sound like a huge restriction, but it does eliminate about 70% of all people. Second, I'm looking for someone who is single and wants to be monogamous. Although I understand if exclusivity comes after a few months, that reduces the 30% remaining to about 10%. I hit the gym 3 times a week and have my diet in order. I want someone who maintains that standard. 40% of Americans are obese, so I'm down to 6%. I want someone who has her life together and is gainfully employed. Although the amount of money isn't super important, I'd like someone who earns around the same as me, about $45,000 per year. That 6% just dropped to about 3%. I want someone who isn't on drugs, doesn't smoke tobacco, and isn't an alcoholic, bringing it down to 1.5%. I want someone who is at least marginally attractive, shares interests, shares sexual preferences, isn't religious, and is mentally stable. Kids aren't necessarily a deal breaker, but I feel I'm too old to have them at this point in life. That leaves less than 1%. Lastly, and I'm not trying to be sexist, but society tends to see women being pursued. I don't know a woman who is single for more than 3 months unless by choice. I live in a city of 1 million people, of whom less than 1,000 are available at any given time, and none of whom are looking for me. They are already being pursued by others. So I give up. I'm not looking for a needle in a haystack, and no one is looking for me. Story 79. Because my brain comes up with many reasons to avoid a relationship. I see two possibilities. A very late romance that makes me sad it took so long, or more likely me alone chilling until I die. Story 80. I have not had a romantic partner who contributed positively to my life in decades. They generally detracted from my happiness, peace, and finances. None of them were evil or physically abusive, but they were lazy, emotionally neglectful, and said all the right things while doing all the wrong ones. After my last relationship ended in 2023, I realized I would be fine if I never dated again. If I desire intimate physical contact, there are many other ways to achieve it than by dating or entering another draining relationship. Story 81. I'm not, but I was for a long time. It took the intense boredom of an 8-hour wait in accident and emergency to go back on the dating apps one last time after being brutally stood up the week before, following what I thought were 2 successful dates. Time in the game and the willingness to get hurt again and again. Oh, and don't drop your standards. 1.5 years, and even if our relationship ended tomorrow, it has been so worth it. Story 82. Choice. I am still living with my oppressive and delusional parents. My mental health is not great, and I am looking into therapy to work on it. Money is tight because that is life for Generation Z in this country. I have things to fix before I enter a relationship. Story 83. I am stuck in my ways, do not tolerate being treated poorly, do not invest enough energy into meeting new people, enjoy being single, and have a very good intuition. Story 84. Selfish. I enjoy my peace and can do whatever I want whenever I want. It's not that I wouldn't put effort into maintaining relationships. It's just that I haven't found the person I want to change my everyday life for. Takes me a while to connect with someone. I would say in the last 8 years I've connected with 2. One ended and that hurt. The other, we are friends. The other is a friend with a child. This girl, though, I would do anything for. I don't think I have ever cared about someone outside of my family so much. Story 85. I spent over a decade in and out of relationships after my divorce, looking for someone to actually be with forever. I have fallen in and out of love too many times. It is exhausting. I have no interest in dating again for a long time. Story 86. I'm not bad looking at all. I'm 20 years old. I've been working in a factory, saving money by living at home. I pay my mother rent and other expenses, and I've saved a lot. I want to go to school, but I'm unsure what to study. I feel I would be a burden on someone else right now. Story 87. Women are dating multiple men at once and cannot decide. They often choose someone who is slightly more attractive than me but does not want to commit. The women interested in me are usually overweight, and I am not attracted to overweight women. Story 88. Honestly, I just cannot find anyone. It seems all the good ones are taken. Any single woman I meet seems to either be irresponsible, have a drug or drinking problem, or have an ex they cannot get over. I am not a picky guy when it comes to looks. I just want someone who is stable and has a good head on their shoulders, a steady job, a car, and no addictions. I do not even care if she has kids, as long as it is not a 4 kids from 4 different dads scenario. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.